I oftentimes come to this little nature park that's not too far from where I live. It's quite wonderful. But I did want to talk a little bit about how I personally changed my experience of life. I stopped being so much in here and began to look around a little bit more and notice the beauty of existence. It didn't take long before I recognized there was a certain state of consciousness that was arising in me, which didn't have to do with anger, resistance, frustration, anxiety, the normal things that we call normal, which is not really normal. It's insane, but it's considered normal for most people. You should be upset that your car is not there when you go outside, or it's hit by a speeding drunk driver. You can be upset, but you don't have to be. You can accept the situation as it is. You can appreciate the beauty that is around you, even in the most horrific situation, and still handle the situation. I hadn't realized that. So it didn't only start with me coming to places like this, because I came to places like this. Everyone does. You go to a park, there's trees and beautiful nature. It really came when I began to observe my way of thinking. And when I did that, I started to question myself. For example, when certain things happen, why do I experience them as bad? Couldn't I just experience it as something that has happened? So I began teaching myself to not allow the mind to take over as I was having certain kind of experiences. Then this all started like at 26, 25, 27, very late. It should be, once we're able to talk as children, our parents should be able to recognize and point out these aspects of thought connecting with emotion. But it's not well known right now, so you have to kind of figure it out on your own. And that's for everyone. If you don't figure it out on your own, you're ultimately trapped in the mind and in its cyclical, frustrating, what do we call it? Patterns. These frustrating patterns that continue over and over and over. Whenever something happens, anger. Whenever something doesn't go your way, frustration. Whenever you need to do something, anxiety. It doesn't have to be like that. And once I realized that, everything became beautiful. Even the most horrific things, I learned things from them. It wasn't, that shouldn't have happened. It wasn't that anymore. Or this shouldn't be happening like this. It wasn't that anymore. I learned to center myself. And I soon learned how to do it, really, which is, instead of using your attention only up here, I would bring my attention into my body and see how I felt. Scan my body with my attention. Is there any grain of suffering in me at this time? Then the work of shifting my attention to my breathing, which is quite easier because it's always happening. Shifting your attention to your breathing ultimately calms down the mind. And if you do that while, let's say, you're looking at a tree, you don't need to think about the tree. You could just be present and still, just like the tree. Not that we're doing tree hugging or anything like that, but there's a rootedness, obviously, in the tree. There's a presence. There's an aliveness. So that doesn't mean you go around, I'm a tree. Doesn't mean you have to do that. But you use your attention to your advantage and you don't allow the negative patterns of the mind to continuously run your life. What a wonderful realization that was and is, because I have not let it go. I didn't forget it. Because you can watch something like this or hear something like this and bring it into your daily life. But as soon as you go outside and your car is not there, it's my famous joke, frustration, anger, non-acceptance comes back. So right there, it doesn't have to be your car, it could be anything, even something small. Use your attention to your advantage. Shift it from thinking, the thinking will dramatically slow down, to just being. And you're still able to think. You're still able to handle problems. You're still able to handle situations because they're not really problems. They're life situations. That was wonderful to realize. Can you believe I hadn't realized that? And many people haven't still to this day. I don't think that you have to be spiritual or religious or anything to have a wonderful experience of life. You simply have to want something different and accept that there is something different. Otherwise, you're stuck in that cyclical pattern of unconscious thinking and negativity.